Now this illustration deals with the ungrounded conductor or conductors in accordance with the NEC 230.90A. Now, this 230.90A with its exceptions has caused some problems in the past, maybe with a designer that's new to the firm or electrical contractor not really used to sizing the overcurrent device for the conductor and the equipment. And we've had a lot of problems with the electricians as inspectors dealing with some electricians. Not all, but all of us have to have a seasoning using the code and installing or designing whatever our job may be. Now we're going to review the first coming out the gate with 230.90. Notice if we had conductors rated 150 amps, 1 aught, that's listed on the line side of that switch or supply side, either one. Notice we would need 150 amp overcurrent devices, fuses, to protect those conductors at their ampacity. Now we know 250.142A1 deals with the supply side. 250.142B as in boy deals with the load side. Now that switch could not be installed at a greater height than 6'7" to that handle is shown in the on position in accordance with 404.8A. And then in the boxed in information, then we're showing and illustrating the step 1 that for 1 aught, THWN copper conductors, a 1 aught has to be protected at its ampacity, which is 150 amp. So the fuses would be rated 150 amps. And then we also show for different switches that might be involved with overcurrent protection or just switches for the height of such switches and overcurrent protection devices. See figure 10-36, which we'll be getting there a little later in this presentation, or you could just call up chapter 10 and review it and wouldn't have to review back, these first chapters, which would be chapters 1 through 9. And then we give you a figure loop. Be sure to review 230.42A1, which is the requires continuous load to be sized at 125%. The conductors come along to match up to the overcurrent device at 125%, but the overcurrent device has to protect the conductors by 230.90A. Then 230.42A2 would deal with 100% loading rules, and then 230.90A is the section coming right out the gate, and 240.4 basically says you can't round up. If you had, for example, a 4-aught conductor with an ampacity of 230 amps, from our table 310.16 in the 2020 code, you couldn't round up from 230 to 250 to get the full use of the 4-aught conductor at 130 amps. 230.90A would require you to round down to a 225 amp main. So as an example, if those conductors terminating to that switch were 4-aught, they're good for 230 amps per table 310.16 on the 75-degree column, but the overcurrent devices, those fuses, would have to be sized at 225 amp to protect that conductor or conductors from overload. And that's what 230.90A of the NEC is trying to get over to the designer or the installer dealing with the ungrounded conductors.